how did ancient humans know how to reproduce? They had no books, no doctors, no schools, no biology. So who taught them? And today, let's travel back 100,000 years to discover the surprising answer. A tribe without children had no future. Hunters would grow old, elders would pass away, and without a new generation to replace them, the entire group would eventually disappear. That is why reproduction was far more than a private matter. It was the foundation of survival itself. Every newborn meant hope, more helping hands in the future, and another chance for the tribe to continue against a world that was constantly trying to wipe them out. Before we continue, I'd love to ask you something. What time is it where you're watching this video? Let me know in the comments, and I hope you're having a wonderful day wherever you are. Ancient humans knew nothing about biology, but they were excellent observers. Nature was their classroom, and every day offered a new lesson. As they traveled through forests and open grasslands, they watched animals mate. They saw female deer, wolves, and wild horses grow larger over time before giving birth to healthy offspring. Mothers protected their young, fed them, and raised them until they could survive on their own. Then they noticed the same pattern within their own tribe. After a man and a woman spent time together, months would pass before the woman's body slowly changed. Her belly grew larger. Eventually, she gave birth to a baby. This didn't happen just once. It happened again and again across different families and different generations. No one understood sperm, eggs, or DNA. They couldn't explain pregnancy with science because science did not exist. But they didn't need scientific knowledge to recognize a pattern. By simply observing the world around them, ancient humans began connecting cause and effect. They realized that new life did not appear by chance. It followed a sequence that repeated itself over and over. Long before the first written language, nature had already become humanity's greatest teacher, quietly revealing the secrets of life to anyone patient enough to watch. Observation alone was not enough. Ancient humans were also guided by something much older than knowledge: instinct. Like every other animal on earth, they were born with a natural drive to reproduce. They did not need to understand the biology behind it. Attraction, bonding, and the desire to have children were all part of the instincts that had been shaped by evolution over countless generations. But instinct could only take them so far. Experience became just as important. Women in particular gain the deepest understanding of pregnancy and childbirth because they live through it themselves. They learned which foods seemed to help during pregnancy, which plants could ease pain, and how to care for newborn babies during their most fragile days. Every successful birth became a lesson. Every mistake became a warning. Without books or written records, this knowledge was passed from one generation to the next through observation, imitation, and storytelling. Young girls watched older women. Children witnessed births within the tribe. Elders shared their experiences around the fire, preserving practical knowledge that had been tested by time. Slowly, generation after generation, these lessons accumulated. Ancient humans still did not understand reproduction in a scientific sense, but they understood enough to protect mothers, raise healthy children, and ensure that their people would survive for thousands of years to come. In today's world, pregnancy is often seen as a private family matter, but for ancient humans, it was something the entire tribe experienced together. Most prehistoric tribes were small, sometimes made up of only a few dozen people. Everyone lived, traveled, hunted, and slept close to one another. There were no separate homes or private rooms when a woman became pregnant. Everyone noticed. When labor began, the whole tribe knew. And when a baby was finally born, it was a moment shared by the entire community. Every child represented hope. A newborn was more than another mouth to feed. One day that child would become a hunter, a gatherer, a protector, or a parent. The future of the tribe depended on the survival of its youngest members. Because of this, protecting pregnant women and newborn babies became a responsibility shared by everyone. Mothers were often given extra care. Other women helped during childbirth, while the rest of the tribe worked together to provide food, safety, and support. In a world where danger existed around every corner, raising a child was never a task for one person alone. It was a collective effort. The survival of every newborn increased the chances that the tribe itself would survive, making reproduction not just a personal event, but one of the most important responsibilities of the entire community. Even after years of observation, there was still one question ancient humans could not answer. Why did pregnancy happen at all? They could see the pattern, but they could not explain the invisible process taking place inside the body. Without science, medicine, or written knowledge, they searched for answers in the only places they knew, the natural world and the spiritual world. Many believe that children were gifts from powerful spirits, ancestors, or the forces of nature. The moon, the stars, the changing seasons, and even certain animals were often connected to fertility and new life. Pregnancy itself may have seemed mysterious, almost magical, because no one could see what was happening until a baby was finally born. Over time, these beliefs became stories. Those stories became traditions. Rituals surrounding pregnancy, childbirth, and newborn babies help families make sense of the unknown while bringing comfort during uncertain times. Without writing, stories were the library of the prehistoric world. Around campfires, elders passed down everything they had learned, not only practical advice about childbirth, but also the myths and beliefs that gave meaning to life. In this way, knowledge survived through memory, tradition, and storytelling long before the first words were ever written on stone or paper. Generation after generation, ancient humans continued to observe the same pattern. A man and a woman formed a bond. Time passed, the woman became pregnant. Months later, a child was born. They still had no idea about sperm, eggs, chromosomes, or DNA, but they no longer believed that every birth happened by pure chance. Through thousands of years of observation, they gradually understood that reproduction followed a predictable sequence. The connection between men, women, and the birth of children became impossible to ignore. This simple realization changed human society forever. As people began recognizing the relationship between parents and children, the idea of family became stronger. Bloodlines started to matter. Parents became responsible not only for raising their children, but also for passing on skills, knowledge, and traditions. Over time, this understanding helped shape the first social rules surrounding relationships, marriage, cooperation, and the care of future generations. People no longer thought only about surviving today. They began thinking about tomorrow, about their children, and about the generations that would come after them. Without realizing it, ancient humans had taken one of the first steps toward building organized societies. A simple understanding of reproduction became the foundation for families, communities, and eventually civilization itself. Ancient humans never understood reproduction the way we do today. They knew nothing about biology, genetics, hormones, or DNA. They had no laboratories, no scientific theories, and no medical knowledge to explain how new life began. Yet they didn't need modern science to survive. Instead, they learned through careful observation. They trusted their instincts. They built knowledge from experience, and they passed those lessons from one generation to the next through stories, traditions, and everyday life. Little by little, this simple understanding became enough. It was enough to protect mothers, enough to raise healthy children, enough to keep families together, and enough to ensure that each generation could replace the one before it. Looking back, the greatest achievement of our ancestors was not discovering the science of reproduction. It was learning just enough about it to keep humanity alive. Without books, without doctors, and without written knowledge, they relied on the greatest teacher they had ever known, nature itself. And perhaps that is the most remarkable lesson of all. Sometimes survival does not require knowing every answer. It only requires understanding enough to pass life on to the next generation. That simple wisdom carried humanity through tens of thousands of years, laying the foundation for every family, every society, and every civilization that exists today. If you enjoyed this journey into the lives of our ancient ancestors, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our next adventure into human history. Thank you so much for watching and spending your time with us today. Now, we'd love to hear from you. What ancient mystery would you like us to explore next?